and to prepare for 2028. I don't know what gatekeeping means.
Basically, like, having access to certain people or personnel.
The precinct chairs having access.
Yes.
Okay, well, I pulled all the precinct chairs. You're all in my phone, and any of you can call me anytime you want. I'm going to rely on the executive committee to have great ideas and to lead committees. And we have a lot of work to do. And I think if we, it takes a village. I know that's like Hillary Clinton, so I don't mean to go that way, but it does take a village. And I think if we're all invested in building the party and making Travis County better, then we're going to be great.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, over to Greg.
Yep.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah. There is no gatekeeping in our bylaws. And now that so much of the power of what we do, the selection of the creation of committees, the chairing of committees, those things are determined by the EC. The whole idea behind having the bylaws that we have is to create cohesion so that there isn't one blocker. And I feel like that we did have a blocker. Since we don't have one anymore, I think that now these bylaws can play out the way they're supposed to play out. People nominate, people talk amongst themselves. Anyone who wants to get involved, they talk, they either get themselves nominated for a chair or get on that committee. There is no gatekeeping. The only gatekeeper is the vote of the EC. And also, the way the bylaws are written, if the EC figures out that a chair of a committee or an officer of the party is not doing what they want to do, it merely takes a vote to get rid of them and put the party back on the track the way the EC wants the party to go. So that's the way I feel about that issue.
Thank you, Greg. Over to Sam.
Well, I've got to poke a little fun at the question saying, how do I feel? Where do I stand on circular firing squads? I stand to be the fastest draw. No, I really do feel one of the reasons I was compelled to run is I came into this party recently and saw the SD14 kind of right out of the gate. And I'm like, good Lord, this needs to improve. So I don't like internal firing squads. I want to support Republicans. The issue of should we support Democrats here or there, we're not a policy group, we're a Republican group, and we need to support Republicans. So if we see ourselves shooting each other in the foot, we need to turn outwards and know where we're aiming. The gatekeeping, I just like Jennifer said, I don't want to steal it, but anybody can call me anytime. I have returned every call, every email, every text, and I enjoy talking to people. So I don't have the personality to gatekeep or try to keep things away from people. We do have the bylaws, and they do establish a committee. It should be by vote, and it certainly shouldn't keep anybody out. That being said, you're going to have to follow rules, because if you don't have the rules, then you don't have a level playing field. And it can be slow. I'm efficiency minded. I hate slow, but I understand the purpose of the rules is to keep it so nobody is kept out, as in a special case. Internal purity test. Whose verbiage is that, Randy?
I'll leave the posing of the questions anonymous, but it was basically like how people view things in their way of seeing, how can I put it, the way they see things, the purity of the party, so to speak.
So not my internal purity, but the party's internal purity.
Yes.
Nothing is just more aggravating than we don't have the Epstein list. We don't have Hillary Clinton with charges pressed. We don't have the Bidens with charges pressed. There is something going on. And one of the reasons I'd like to be more involved is because I have worked on congressional campaigns. I have seen congressmen go to Congress and absolutely become a different person. It is just the most frustrating thing because I don't understand it. I don't know how did they get them to turn so fast. So we definitely have a need for strong-willed people who can't be pushed around. We have a great leader now in Donald Trump who has shown us how he's taken lawsuits, he's taken bullets, he's taken impeachments, he's taken the most relentless press bullying anybody could imagine, and you still stand in there and take it. So there's a lot to be said for who do we want to be and who do we want to be when it really counts and it's difficult. And so I hope that as chair, I'm somebody who's going to stand in there and have the endurance to do it and to come out on the other side.
Great, thank you. All right, now moving on to the next topic is the Republican Party of Texas. And first question will go to Greg. This question will go to starting with Greg. Do you believe in censuring a sitting representative for going against Republican platforms, values, and rules? And it's a two-part question. Sorry about that. Would you vote to censure them or bring it up to the body for them to be censured?
I mean, this is a simple yes or no answer. It sounds like yes. I could talk a lot about it if you want. But you know, I've been very focused on that. I've been, you know, part of the movement in several of the cases where we were either voting for resolutions which criticized or condemned. I agree that according to Rule 44, you know, there are things that you have to do and follow. And, you know, in some cases, we didn't always do and follow exactly the right thing. Again, I wouldn't hang that on any individual in here in our EC to know every rule. I kind of hang a little bit of that on leadership and leadership, our leadership, both from the SREC and from the Travis County level, was vehemently against those kinds of things. I think our body now has changed and is probably more open to those ideas. I certainly am. And now that Rule 44 has teeth, meaning in theory, a candidate can be withheld from the primary ballot. In theory, I mean, we got to test this. We're going to need some good test cases, but I'm all in favor of doing that. And I understand the rules, and I would help lead any bunch of people in our team who wanted to go that way, to go right to it.
Thank you, Greg. Over to Sam.
Yeah, I think it's a good question because we certainly are facing this in the House Republicans that didn't go with the Republican platform on the speaker race. And it was very, very frustrating to see kind of that weakness in our party. Censoring is difficult for me as an efficiency expert. And I look at efficiency and say, what does this accomplish? And a lot of times it doesn't accomplish anything. The new teeth, as Greg mentioned, if it does prevent somebody from then running in the primary the next time, then that's a way different situation. So if we have accountability through the censure process, I'm for it. And I hate to not be so definitive, but if the body votes for it, then it's, you know, then we censure. The one thing I would do is follow what the vote was on it. And I would be happy to bring a vote for anything that the EC wants to bring. I don't think that's the place of the chair to try to, I guess, gatekeep and keep it out. So we do need to hold our people accountable when they get in office, as I just mentioned. We don't want the people that turn once they get there.
Thank you. Over to Jennifer.
So I'm definitely a we the people candidate. I am 100% in favor of what the body wants to do or feels led to do. For me, if we're going to censure a local candidate, I would definitely petition in favor of them being able to come in and talk to us and defend their decision or their vote. A lot of we all know, a lot of politics happen, and we're all not politically savvy. That's just a fact. And so I would hesitate in censuring an elected during session and be more in favor of censuring an elected at the end of session when we actually see the results of the politics that happen. Does that make, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, if we want all the priorities to pass, let's wait till end of session, because Dustin Burrows claims he's going to pass all the legislative priorities. So I think he deserves a chance to make that happen. So I would not be in favor of an expedient process, but I would be in favor of holding our elected accountable and letting the executive committee vote in favor of that resolution or censure.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Over to Sam now. Same topic. How do you intend to foster a cohesive relationship with the RPT and the SREC? Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Okay, so TCRP's relationship with those two bodies.
RPT, yes. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so I don't. I just plan to meet those people, talk to those people, interact with those people. I think if you want a good relationship, you have to have constant communication, or at least reasonable communication with them. When issues come up that affect all of us, to go to them and make sure we're talking to them, we're communicating with them, and find ways to support them. I think our office location, we could share office space or be as close as possible with people of these, of all these groups. So I don't know what else to say other than just to have constant communication with them and really want to talk to them.
Okay, thank you. Over to Greg.
Yeah, I basically agree to that. I think it's more a question. Well, certainly it's going to be easy to have a better relationship with them than we've had recently. So, and I think that does really start with communication. And we are right here in Austin. I would probably send out invites to have people attend our meetings, talk to people, make sure that they can be heard at our meetings. Many of them are here in Austin quite often. We can be welcoming of them and have that dialogue. I think, every county should be finding ways to interact better with the state party, and to make sure that our voices are heard and theirs are heard internally. I mean, Jennifer makes some good points on, maybe what we should do via censor, maybe what we should do via other things, and to have those people who may be seeing things around other counties come and talk to us about some of these issues, I think would be helpful and help us build better trust and understanding between the organizations.
All right, thank you. Jennifer.
So I don't anticipate any problem with the Republican Party of Texas. I do anticipate potentially renting an office space in their office. I think we're going to align. As long as we're for the Republican Party platform, we're going to align with RPT. I don't foresee any problems with RPT. That's my opinion. I'm gonna get along great with Abraham George, and we're gonna be fine. I'm actually interested in asking for his support, maybe some free rent for a few months while we get our feet on the ground, and help us out and help us grow. I think they're very interested in our strength because we're in the capital, right? We represent the capital city. So I don't foresee any problems with RPT. With SREC, I make an appearance at almost every SREC meeting. I would love for more precinct chairs to kind of pop in on those meetings and kind of listen to the SREC committees and what they're doing. I serve on the Stop Sexualizing Kids subcommittee with Kristen Bentley. So I'm at every SREC meeting. I would love the SRECs that represent Travis County to give us a report every month. We're not really getting that. And I think that would involve more of the precinct chairs and also teach them about the organizational structure, because especially the new precinct chairs, they have no idea what the SREC is. So there's a little bit of training and teaching that we need to do.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next topic is the Democrat Party of Texas. And the question is, we'll start with Sam here. Where do you stand on working with Democrats on and in elections, allowing them to have certain seats or deal making? Questions. Let me unmute you here.
All right, thank you for that. Yeah, I think we should probably go to them and see if we can trade 3 or 4 seats. No, I don't think that's a good plan at all. As I said earlier, we're not a policy group, we're a Republican group. We need to stand by the Republicans and try to grow the Republican Party. The only deal making with the Democrats is on policy issues that we can all agree to, like, no men and women's sports and no men and women's bathrooms. Those are the kind of deals we should be making with them. But I don't see where. I don't even know how that would, there may be something I'm not aware of. Maybe the other candidates know. I don't know that we would ever traded seats with the Democrats. So I just have to say I would not see a very good. I don't see a situation where that would be something I would support.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Over to Greg.
Yeah, I'll probably have a similar answer. I mean, as a party organization, we're supposed to be promoting Republicans. I mean, there are some issues, you know, the grid is one of them. I'm assuming that, you know, our representatives are going to work with Democrats to promote grid security, things like that. So there are a few things at the legislative level that we could, you know, go and lobby Democrats. But I don't know, I don't see what we do at our level. I know we had a lot of hostility from the Democratic Party when we were just trying to hand count some ballots, and they were pretty brutally incensed by that notion. But I mean, you know, people change and things change. Maybe in elections there is something to do there. I doubt it, but it's probably worth a phone call just to find out, at least know where we stand. But I don't know what we really do as a party here in Travis with them.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. Over to Jennifer.
Okay. As y'all know, I was arrested at Central Count in 2020. And then when I went to logic and accuracy test for the 2024 election, I noticed that the county clerk had all of the tabulation equipment in one room. That was the plan. Not a lot of people knew that, but the plan, and had been going on for a while, was to have tabulation in that little bitty tiny room where really poll watchers didn't have access. And so when you ask, where do you stand on working with Democrats? We have to hold them accountable to the deal that we made in 2020 with the Supreme Court, where they have to open the election and provide transparency. So I'm very interested in having a good working relationship with Diana, the county clerk, because I believe, based on my personal knowledge, that she provided the most transparency I've ever seen at Central Count for the November election. So I want to keep that pressure on, like that's our expectation. That's what we that's what we want you to keep doing. And so I think we have to find some common ground, hold them to the law, get our attorneys involved if we have to. But I do think we need to make them follow the law, right? And so that's how I would work with them, is sort of keep a constant pressure on them. Like, we're watching you, we see you, this is the law, and keep them accountable. And then allowing them to have certain seats or deal making. I don't know if I make deals with Dems, but where we can be strategic and find common ground, especially at Central Count. As long as Central Count is run by Democrats, which it is, we have to figure out a way to work with them and also get what we want.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, the next question. The next question is, what will your strategy be to outmessage and perform Democrats in Travis County to change the voting culture? And that would be starting off with Greg.
Again, I think that goes back to getting the voter data and finding the right way to reach them. I think heretofore we've been, you know, mass emailing that no one could respond to, texting that no one could respond to. I think there are better ways, and absolutely no coordination on social media. I think if we, as you know, if 50 of us got together and figured out the right moment to send text messages, the right moment to go on social media, to have a repeated and constant messaging, obviously in different words, in different ways, to tag these people on social media and to get the word out via texting and email. I think there's a huge amount of room. Like, it's not small, the amount of improvement that we can make by using a much savvier data collection and usage plan, and using our money very wisely. I think it has been poorly used. I think we can use not large amounts of money to be smart And a lot of it we can figure out ourselves. Some of it, I'm sure there are people within the EC or people that we can recruit that could help us devise strategies where, again, as much of our body as we can be put into that effort. Right? To date, it was just Matt on the, Matt on X and some individuals. We need a real cohesive effort, and it doesn't take that many people and a friend to get that job done.
Thank you, Greg. Over to Sam.
All right. So I sent out my 8 tenets, my 8-point plan to everyone in an email. If you didn't get it, let me know. But one of the things I want to do is work with Turning Point USA. I'm one of their donors, and I'm going to their investor conference May 1st in San Diego. And I've reached out to their people who have a phone call scheduled with me to talk about how we can turn Austin's voting culture around. Charlie Kirk and his team have just done an absolute phenomenal job. And with TCRP, with somebody like Turning Point, that's one of the things I would do specifically to change voting culture. They're on the campuses. They have a great system. I also would want to partner with TPPF, Texans for Vaccine, Federalist Society. There's several organizations that I think if we have branding with TCRP, we start to get that Republican Party in Travis County's name and brand out there, so voters start to see a difference. So on one hand, I would say, let's work with people who change culture in voting. And the other is, let's just go get the votes. And as I mentioned, money probably won't change a lot of these elections, but getting the votes will. I have my Noah's Ark plan where we go out 2 by 2 and get votes. Doesn't cost any money. It's a very low threshold. It just has to be actively and managed to say, did you get your 2 people in these 2 days? And did they get their 2 in the next 2 days? So go get the votes individually and work with some hard-hitting groups that do this very well.
Thank you, Sam. Over to Jennifer.
Okay, I agree with everything that Greg and Sam just said. In addition, it says, how are we going to out-message the Democrats to change the voting culture? So I think one way that we can out-message them is to come up with a sign campaign, a social media campaign, to beat Jose Garza. Maybe we do signs that say, make Austin safe again, right? We come up with some messaging that translates over to the other side, and we really broadcast what he does wrong, how he's hurting Austin. So I think that's the way to change culture, is to do an informational campaign, because most, if not a lot, of voters are very low information. They get their news from MSM, mainstream media. And so we have to give them a different narrative, an honest narrative, a truthful narrative that would bring them over. And then also adding Republican candidates to the ballot also will change voting culture. There's a lot of Republicans that don't vote because they're like, why vote? There's not even a Republican on the ballot. So I think that will change voting culture. And then also outperforming, we did outperform them in 24. So I don't know if y'all know, but we recruited over 300 poll watchers, and we had a dozen Republican poll watchers for early vote count at Central Count, and the Democrats had 0. And they had to put out a social media post saying that there were a dozen Republicans and no Democrats. We shamed them. It is easy to outperform them. We just have to get boots on the ground.
Thank you. All right. I'm gonna pause on my line of questions that I have, and I'm gonna turn to the questions in the chat real quick from Saul. I'll just say Saul. His question is, would you support TCRP joining the lawsuit that USA and CDF has started against Secretary of State Jane Nelson to clean up the voter rolls? And then the second part of that question is, would you support adding Chris Davis, the Travis County election administrator, as the plaintiff to the lawsuit? And I'll start that off with Greg Murphy.
Well, the short answer is I'd want to use all means necessary to fix the voter rolls. So I haven't looked at that exact thing, so I don't know what I would say about that exact thing. Sure. But I would certainly either start or join lawsuits that were requiring the state to clean up our voter rolls. I mean, I know what's going on. I was, you know, I was at Central Count. Like I've been at Central Count every time one could be at Central Count these past few years. And election integrity is definitely one of my pinch points. So absolutely, I don't think we did enough of that. I think we as a party can do things like that. And again, I don't think it's as expensive as you might think it is to join in and have somebody and have our name beyond that. And again, use our messaging surrounding that. So the short answer, the long answer is yes, I'd love to get involved. The short answer, I don't know anything about those particular cases.
No problem. Thank you. Over to Jennifer.
All right, thanks. I actually have not read this petition either. I would definitely be in favor of TCRP joining a lawsuit that was meant to clean up the voter rolls. I'd have to look at it. I think the second question is, would you support adding Chris Davis as a plaintiff? I think the question is, would we be in favor of adding Chris Davis as a defendant? So he's actually on the other side of this issue. We didn't have an election administrator in November. They quit. I think Chris Davis quit at the last minute. So I'm not sure exactly how that works. And again, he would be a defendant, not a plaintiff.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Sam.
So
sorry.
as an attorney, I don't know why we would join this lawsuit unless we had money to pay an attorney. And will joining the lawsuit change the outcome of it? I think we can support it without having having to pay a lawyer to do this. So I'd want to look at why do we join, how does TCRP, being one of the plaintiffs, I assume, change this lawsuit and make it have a different outcome? If it's going to change the outcome, let's look into it. If it's not, I don't see the benefit to the TCRP party. And we just had the lunch today where one of the Texas Supreme Court justices was talking about access to lawyers because they're just so expensive. So we'd have to raise a lot of money to probably support this. If there's some way to join it for free and have no exposure, sure, but it might just subject us to litigation. So I don't know how it would change the outcome and how it would help TCRP. So I'd be open to looking at it, but just as with my legal background, I'd probably say I don't see the benefit.
Thank you, Sam. All right, returning back to the questions that I have here. The Texas Election Code is the next topic. It's actually only one question. What is the Texas Election Code that governs precinct chairs and county chairs? And I'll start that off with Jennifer.
Like, what's the number of the Texas Election Code?
Yes.
I don't know what the number is. However, I do know that the Republican Party has a lot more authority or control in the primary election day. And so I think we exercise our authority to the fullest extent under the law on that day. As y'all all probably know, the election code is a hot mess. And I know that so Senate Bill 618 was filed, and it has a companion bill, which is HB 2773, and it actually adds an enforcement provision. And it basically says that if any of the county clerks or whoever runs your election, and Travis, it's your county clerk, violates any part of the law, which is what I'm for. I'm always for a line at the beginning of the election code that says if you violate any section of this election code, you can there's a consequence. So those companion bills basically add that provision. And so Travis County violates the statute all the time, the election code, and yet there's no enforcement. So I'm in favor of enforcement, and I'm in favor of exercising the maximum authority that we have in the primary on election day.
Thank you, Jennifer. Over to Sam. Oh, sorry.
All right, thank you. Well, The election code is 171.021 through 0.073 and 171.022 to 0.029. It's in the chat there, but I hope I got this one right. And you know, nothing's more frustrating than having laws that aren't enforced. So if there are violations, we've got to enforce those and use it to our advantage. I mean, seeing election integrity crumble and having laws on the books that aren't enforced or don't have teeth, that's got to change. So again, I just went for the multiple choice there, and those are the numbers.
Yes. Greg.
Yeah, when I want to find out something about the election code, I load it into my AI and then I query my AI and it kind of leads me where I need to go. So, but I'm familiar with some of those. And, you know, so I agree. And I know about this particular bill and the add-on to, there was some discussion about criminal penalties versus civil penalties on this one. I think adding a penalty to that is important. And especially if it's for every violation, because those $5,000, whatever it's going to be, they add up for the individuals who work in our election administration in Travis. So I'm very much in favor of that. In terms of what we do as a party, I think what we need is a long run plan if we want to do something. I've mentioned it in a couple of these chats here, you know, among some of the PCs. But we need to get going now with whatever we want to do for the primary. We need a lot of counters. If we're going to try to go in precinct, we need to find precinct locations. Anyway, there's a lot of ways we can go. I'm not saying we go one way or the other, but if we don't start planning now, we're not going to have the leverage when we get there. Because when I was negotiating our contract last time, look, they just raised their hands and said, we don't have enough machines. We don't have enough locations. It's too bad. You know, that's what they'll say. So we need to start working now if we want to do anything. And that may be a multi-year project. We get a little bit this next time. We figure out what we did to prepare and what we didn't do, and we do better next time. But I think we should be starting now. Seriously.
Thank you. Do y'all want to take a 2-minute break for restrooms and all that good stuff, or y'all want to keep rolling?
I'm good to keep going. How many questions you got, Randy?
We're halfway through.
All right. Wow.
Oh, come on.
All right. We keep rolling. Okay. Moving on into party financing. Party financing. The question is, what is your experience in raising money in the last 4 years, and have you raised money or donated to this party in the past? And I will start that off with go to Jennifer.
Thank you. Well, as I mentioned in my 5-minute intro, I did raise $100,000 for my own race. I was very much a newbie. I think the most I raised from one person was $5,000, and yet I raised 100. So I had a lot of donors. I know how to raise money. We the People, Lake Travis, I know it's not the party, but it definitely is a cluster of precinct chairs that are involved in We the People, Lake Travis. And we raise money all year long for different things and we fund candidates, local candidates, school board candidates. We fund more informational events. We give money to different organizations like J6 and whatnot. We're able to give some money to some of those people that needed help when they were released from jail under Trump's administration. So we do a lot of things. In the fall, we ran, as y'all know, the Aqua Blue sign campaign. We raised $25,000 and we spent every penny on signs. So I have no problem raising money. And I also have raised enough money that I will announce on Tuesday night from our electeds that will pay the bills for the next couple months and get us through. So I can raise money. I know how to raise money. I think it's about building value. So if we build value within the party, we give donors our plan, like almost like a business plan, like this is what we want to do. We want to create a website for every ballot position. We give our donors a plan and we ask them to donate to our business plan, our strategy, what we're willing to do. So I know that I will have no problem raising money.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Over to Greg.
Two answers. Number one, nope, I haven't raised a lot of money myself, but I know that there is a strategy that we can have. Many things that we haven't yet done, soliciting businesses, obviously targeting specific people, finding ways to reward people somehow when they do donate, even if they're small donors. We don't have really an appreciation program. But I think what it starts with, and I'll echo this a little bit with Jennifer, and I said it before, we need to tell donors what we're going to do with their money and be radically transparent about what we do with it after we do with it, so that everyone can know exactly what we did and exactly why we're doing it. So I think there's money there to be raised. I don't think it's a challenge necessarily to raise some of the money that we've already raised in the past. I think the challenge will be getting the numbers bigger, and a lot of that will be to help to help candidates specifically. The short answer on have I given? Yes, I have. You can look it up. I'm one of the names that are kind of upper there, and you'll see me.
Thank you, Greg. Over to Sam.
Well, in the last 4 years, I've been focused on making money more so than raising money, but I have done Leukemia and Lymphoma Society events where we raised tens of thousands of dollars. I have donated to the party, and I've donated to the candidates around the party. But my biggest thing about raising money is that I think we have two sides of this. One needs to be the small dollar donor, the things $100 or less, or the monthly $100 or less. And I think a committee could really be the focus of that. As chair, my ambitions would be for large money donors. One of the largest donors in the 2024 for Texas was actually Governor Abbott's campaign. I have connections at Abbott's office, and I would start going to the donors who give a lot of money to Texas races. The other unique thing Travis County has, we have the richest man in the world in our county. We also have the man with the biggest voice in the world, Joe Rogan. And then, of course, we have the biggest conspiracy theorist, Alex Jones. So we also have actors like Matthew McConaughey. So I've started, I don't have direct to those four, but I have started inquiries to those people and people who know those people and try to get there. But I think we have a ton of potential. There's a ton of money. There's a lot of politicians, a lot of groups. If we can convince them and go with an investment plan and go to the chairman's circle with an investor plan and say, here's what the money's going to go to. And it's not going to, it's going to go to the candidates. It's going to go to getting more Republican votes. I think we've got a good story to tell. I have raised money in the past. The last 4 years specifically, though, I've been making money in business.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Next question is, how will you attract new and old donors? Although most of y'all already answered this, but how will you attract new and old donors to the party, and what is the annual target funding goal you have in mind? And I will start that off with Greg.
I would say as much as we can. I mean, we're going to be limited right now in not having a brand, I think, that people are going to be excited about. We have to get them excited about that. So our messaging and our outreach starts immediately. That doesn't cost a lot of money. And obviously, I mean, I agree with Sam. There are ways we can approach individuals and others to get us started through that. I mean, we know from just asking around, counties like Dallas have a couple $100,000 on hand ready to go even after this last cycle. We don't have anything. So again, radical transparency, go to donors, tell them what we're going to do, show them a business plan, and make sure that they see the results. And that's how we're going to get it done. I mean, again, there's a lot of money that we need to raise, hundreds of thousands of dollars if we can. I mean, let's try. But I've seen the numbers we've raised in the past. We've muddled through. Those numbers aren't that big.
Thank you, Greg. I'll kick it over to Jennifer.
Thanks. Okay. Well, because I run We the People or help run We the People like Travis, I'm already familiar with a lot of donors because they're donors to our organization. So I feel like I have those connections. I have connection because I don't know, I hate calling myself a politician. It's weird, but I have been a politician for the last 5 years. So I do have relationships with not just our elected, but kind of influencers and movers in the Capitol. I was at the Capitol testifying on Monday, and I had people approach me that said, "What do you need? We're so excited that you might be the next county chair." So I'm like, money, money, and money. So so that's going to happen. And so I would say that I already have a connection to most of our new and old donors, and that won't be a problem because we're going to present a plan and we're going to be able to move forward and get them excited about our plan. What is the annual target funding goal you have in mind? I have no idea. I really don't. But as we develop a business plan, you know, the plan that we want to implement, all of those plans will have a cost associated with them, and we'll raise money to make that happen. Whatever the number is, we're going to raise the money to make it happen.
Thank you, Jennifer. Over to Sam.
So the old donors, I think new leadership, new results. We have to come in with, hey, we've had 8 years of one chairman, and now we've got a new chairman, and this is going to be a different result, and we need the money because we're starting at zero. So go to the old donors and say, give us a chance. That's the way I think you approach them. The new donors, I think by co-branding with the groups I mentioned, the Turning Points, the TPPF, things like that, you're going to get new people into here. But the way you get new donors is by having winning results. If we start winning, I mean, think about a college football team. I went to TCU. In the 90s, we didn't win anything. In the 2000s, these stadiums are sold out. So the money will follow the winners. As for my target goal, 300,000 is my goal for this year, because if we don't have that, that means we're not growing. And that means we don't really have money to be effective. If we're in the 200 or less, we're going to pay some expenses, but we're not really going to be impactful. So I would say we need at least 300,000. That's my target to start.
Thank you, Sam. All right, moving on to the next topic is committees and roles and responsibilities. And the first question, we'll kick it off with Sam here, is that what are your thoughts about having a separate finance committee, nothing to do with fundraising, just strictly finances?
I think that's a fantastic idea. If we have the staff and the volunteers to do it, I'd be all for it. I think fundraising and financing are two separate entities. One's an accounting, bookkeeping activity, and one is more of a networking and social activity. So I'm all for having separate ones as long as we have the ability to staff them.
Thank you. Over to Greg.
Yeah, that's so specific. I agree that we should have a function that does more oversight and a function that does fundraising. Right now, in our bylaws, those are in the same committee. I'm absolutely in favor of doing whatever the EC wants. If separating those would be better, that's probably a good idea. Right now, they're not separate, so we just have to change that. But that's an easy thing. That's a quick vote, and we can do it. It's not bad that those two committees work together, though, because it's hard to know because the part of the you know, I don't want to call it just accounting. It's oversight. It's you gotta create, you know, working with the steering committee. Got to create a budget. You got to figure out how much money you can raise for each items in your budget. So those two committees would work hand in hand to make sure that the budgeting and the fundraising both make sense with one another.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm not going to add too much to that. I agree with all of those things. I think we need a finance committee that's extremely, extremely transparent, not just to the executive committee, but to our donors. I agree that those two committees probably need to work together, but they definitely have very different functions. But the finance committee needs to communicate with the fundraising committee, hey, we don't have enough money to pay our bills this month, which is where we are now. So there needs to be a lot of transparency, and that's going to motivate the fundraising committee to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And then committees' roles and responsibilities, as everybody knows, this is an unpaid position. So I need everybody's help to implement a plan. And I will be I'm a wonderful delegator, but also very much a worker bee. And so I'm willing to work, but also am needing to delegate to different committee chairs to get the job done.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, next question, same category. Do you agree to strictly go by the Robert rules and RPT rules and regulations and not stray away from those? And that would go, we'll start off with that with Greg.
Short answer is absolutely. We need to have rules that we stick to and stick with. There's nothing, I think, more poisonous to rule, as a referee based on your feeling or who you want to talk or whatever. That's been a frustration for a lot of people, I think, and I think that should end now. I think we should 100% follow RPT rules, TCRP rules, and Robert's rules. I think you have to follow federal rules to it, but I tried to get them in order. We should follow all those rules. We should be impartial. Every person in the EC gets their say. No one gets shut out because rules are altered. No thing gets done oddly that no one expects because rules are altered. If it's all written down and everybody knows the rules and we explain them first, then that's good. What I would do is I would immediately have a training session. I've been coming to meetings for over 3 years now, PC for a while. No one's ever sat down and trained me in Robert's rules. I've had to go online, do my own thing, learn what I could. I think the whole body would be at a great advantage if every individual had more confidence and more understanding of those rules. And one of the things in the PC training that I would develop, I didn't send this around, I'll send it around tomorrow, is things just like that. We need training to be able to be a body that works better. We need to understand our rules in order to work within them, but those are our rules. We should stick with them.
Thank you, Greg. Over to Sam.
Yeah, I talked about this level playing field. It's crucial to have rules that give everybody an equal chance and everybody to understand it. It is difficult to know the rules, interpret the rules. Sometimes they can really hinder progress. But the short answer is yes, I'm very much for following rules so everybody knows that they feel it's fair.
Thank you. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Cindy. Jennifer? Did you answer already?
No, but I agree with everything that's been said. I don't have anything to add because
okay.
I think we should all follow the rules. That way, if we have someone who's rogue, if we apply the same rules to everyone, then if we have someone that's not following the rules, it's easier to call them out, tell them they can't do that, discipline, whatever it is. If we follow the rules and we have a an agitator, then the rule is the rule. It applies to everybody the same. So I think it creates, you can depend on like reliability, dependability, consistency. It's good. Rules are good. Although sometimes I could be a rule breaker. Rules are good.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. The next question is, what are your thoughts on all members of the body being appropriately certified for their roles? For example, parliamentarian, precinct chairs, and committee chairs. And we'll kick that over to Sam.
Yeah, that goes right back to the rules. So I would say if there's a certification that can be sought, that would be great. I don't know about certifying committee chairs, but maybe the finance chair is supposed to be certified at CPA or something. I'm not sure what that would allude to, but if there's training, there's certification, and we can get them. This is a volunteer organization, unless it's a full-time paid staff or part-time. But obviously, I'd love to have people more qualified and more verified, so everybody feels like it's an even playing field.
Thanks, Sam. Over to Greg.
Yeah, I guess in the first place, I don't know what certified means in this case. Like Sam said, we're a volunteer organization. We do the best we can. I would love to have a parliamentarian. That would be something that I would certainly search out and try to get, whether we can afford one or whether we can get volunteers or whatever. But that shouldn't be it shouldn't be on the body to be, slugging it out on the floor, trying to figure out whether we're following the rules or not. We should have someone there to help us. I think, the bylaws have the whole EC voting on committee chairs. They can ask committee chair nominees whatever they want, ask for whatever they want from them. So I'm all in favor of scrutiny and questioning and getting good answers. So that's my short answer to that question.
Okay. Thank you. Great. Over to, oh, sorry, let me get Jennifer. Jennifer.
Okay, I don't know what certified means. I'm also in favor of a parliamentarian that is not a precinct chair, that comes in and is very neutral and knows the rules and can aid the chair in running the meeting efficiently and effectively. As far as precinct chairs, if you want to be a precinct chair and your precinct is vacant, the answer is yes. I'm going to lean into yes. Now, we have a great nominations committee, and they kind of vet that candidate and make sure they're a primary voter. But I lean into yes, because if someone wants to get engaged in the party and help, then yes. And as far as committee chairs, if you want to chair a committee, yes. So I don't know what certified means, but if you want to be the chair of the recruitment committee, yes. So I'm all about the people, like, let's go. And if there are two people who want the position, then it goes to the EC. We take a vote and the majority wins. That's how it's going to be.
Thank you, Jennifer. So I got an additional question that was text to me. That's why I was writing. I kind of got jumbled around, which was an appropriate question. And I actually like the question. The question was, what are your thoughts on holding precinct chairs accountable as far as volunteering at the TCRP headquarters? And I kick that over to, I'll start that off with Greg.
It's a long answer. I would love everyone to help and do things. And I've done a ton of work, and other people that I know have done a ton of work, and some people don't. It's a voluntary organization. Forcing things, different people have different issues. They have different family life questions. They have different, whatever. I think it's more of inspiring people to want to do it rather than having a rule or a something that says, each person X hours in the office. I think we can ask, we can inspire. I think one thing people should do is just individually ask one another, hey, can you come then? Hey, can you go then? That's going to be part of the cohesiveness we have to build. Part of what I think we can do as a voluntary organization. I think it's very hard to impose very specific things like that. Anyway, that's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Over to Sam.
I mean, I think we can have a standing. We really prefer, if you do this, a very strong preference for it. One of the other things on my resume, I'm an Eagle Scout, spent a lot of time in scouting, and my son's an Eagle Scout, and my father's an Eagle Scout. So when you have like a Boy Scout troop and you want all the adults to be there early to help load up and be there late to help unload, it's wonderful. But when you have over 100 people with different schedules, I think it's hard to make a command that you're not going to be a precinct chair unless you put these hours in. But I think if there's things to do and you say, we need a precinct chair to man the office to do something specific for these hours, and you set up a schedule, you can get better participation. But I don't want to go so far as to say it should be a disqualifying situation.
Thank you, Sam. Jennifer.
Okay, so I'm not for requiring any of our precinct chairs to do anything in order to be a precinct chair. However, the word that was used, I think we can inspire people to participate. I think we have to find things that people like to do. So the men might not want to write thank you notes, but they might want to help put signs out, right? Stuff envelopes, make calls. You want to go door knock? I'll go door knock. Put out signs, event planning. I think we have different hours for people. Like if someone might be available on a Monday morning, but not a different day, right? And so I think we have precinct chairs that are going to be willing to plug in if we give them some options and some time slots. So I know in Williamson County, I have a friend that does Monday afternoon from 1 to 4. She goes to the county chair office and answers phones, and she's just a warm body in the building during that time frame. And it's once a week, a 3 or 4 hour commitment. So I think we can break it up into pieces and jobs that will be attractive to other, to all our different personalities, and we can get buy-in in that way.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. All right, we're almost done, y'all. Hang in there. Moving on to the next topic, political acumen and media engagement. Do you have any political, we already kind of covered your backgrounds, but this opportunity for, once again, do you have any political background, and where and with whom? And we'll start that off with Sam.
So I do have political background in terms of political media engagement. So when I was the deputy commissioner for coastal resources, I frequently stood in the place of the land commissioner. One of the biggest contentions that the land office deals with is houses on the beach, and that they become state property. So that's a really big no-win situation. And I would be sitting down on the coast and be in front of the cameras, talking to them about an impossible situation. So I do have that background. I've also been out, as I said, with the presidents in advance trips, getting those things ready, meeting with the press. You do things called press advance, which I've held that role many times, where you actually interact directly with the national press and the press corps for the president, getting them the access and the information they need.
Thank you, Sam. Over to Greg.
Yeah, I have not necessarily political party experience, but I have a lot of political experience in volunteer organizations as well. I mean, I had a long career working for a bank. One of my great political successes is working for the French for 19 years. It's very hard to do that. Just if anybody has any idea how hard that is to do. But so, yes, you had to communicate, you had to talk to people, you had to figure things out. As part of my professional business, I would go to conferences, I would do regular public speaking, I would do client presentations, media interviews, both set up and spontaneous. So I have a lot of experience on the professional side doing that. I did run a significant group for a while, and that made a lot of sense to do that. I don't yet have any here in Travis, in the political world here in Texas, but I think that that is acquirable knowledge.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Well, I've practiced public speaking a lot. I go to the LTISD school board meeting every single month for the last 4 or 5 years. I've become kind of a known quality there. I get interviewed all the time by Community Impact to give statements about what I think about this issue or that issue. I like speaking with the media. I plan to have a bigger presence for Travis County Republican Party, where we're potentially sending press releases to the media, talking about what we're doing, our like what's our motivation, our intent, like build that public presence. I'm excited about that. I also testify at the Capitol all the time, as recently as Monday, and got interviewed there. So I am very comfortable speaking with the media. I'm very comfortable speaking in front of groups. I'm very comfortable at the mic, and I'm excited about doing that. Do you have any political background? Where and with whom? Well, I've been a candidate since 2020. And so I definitely know a lot of our elected representatives. I know several of the many more than several of the brand new freshmen that we have that just got elected, because we're kind of the same age, and we're kind of have grown up together on the political landscape. And so, like, I have 4 very good friends that started with me 10 years ago, not knowing or doing anything, and now they're trustees across the state on school boards. So it's just being involved for so long. I have very good friends that have moved up in the political world and are accessible, available, give me advice, would be willing to come talk to our group, whatever. So yes, I definitely have a political background that we can leverage and rely on as a party.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jennifer. Next question is, do you have experience with, I'll go ahead and skip that question because you kind of answered it already. How will you, I will go to that third question there, co-moderator. How will you handle negative media towards yourself, the party, and its members? And I'll kick that off with Greg.
Media wise, it's always better to go positive than negative. So if you start on your back foot, you just have to put your forward foot further ahead and be positive and talk about your wins and your goals and not dwell a lot on negative assaults. So the best way to do, if there's an issue, address the factual nature of the issue, and otherwise promote what you believe are your wins, your strengths, and your goals. And that would be how I would respond to any media question like that.
Thank you, Greg. Jennifer.
I do expect some negative media if I get elected. When I get elected, they're going to post my mugshot all over the media and be like, this is who Travis County just elected as their chair. How crazy are they? I know that's going to happen. I'm ready for it. The Democrats in Lake Travis make videos about me every year during the school board race, talking about how we can't allow Jennifer Fleck to pick our candidates. And I'm like, I didn't recruit those candidates, right? So I'm used to the fire. I'm okay with the fire. And as far as negative media toward the party and its members, we're just going to prove ourselves factual, credible, and hard workers. So the proof is in the pudding. It may come hard in the beginning because we're vulnerable. In my opinion, our organization is a little bit vulnerable right now and a little bit weak. And so it's going to take some time to build value, but we will build value. And then they won't have, no matter how excellent we get, the Democrats are going to say negative things about us. So all of the precinct chairs, executive committee needs to be prepared for the Democrats to come at us, because as we build and as we get stronger, we're going to become their target, and they're going to want to press us down. So it's coming. Everybody needs to be ready for it. I'm ready for it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Sam.
Well, nothing's better than negative press. All press is good press in politics, right? One of the things as a business owner I've had to deal with the last 15 years is Yelp. Now, Yelp actually called us because we were one of the top businesses to manage the Yelp, to have the highest ratings, but you always get those 1 stars every now and again. And we always take that negative press, and they say, you know, I didn't like this. This person did a bad job. You know, thank you so much for reaching out to us. And we do really celebrate that we have some of the best prices on skincare in town. And we appreciate that you brought up this, that, and the other, and you just go roll them and completely turn it around as an advertising opportunity. There's even a show in Vegas that has a billboard before you walk in with their 1-star reviews saying how awful it is. And all it does is make you want to go in more. So I think negative press is difficult. It's frustrating. It's usually a lie. It's not your story, but you have to confront it. And if you can turn it into a sales pitch for the TCRP, then you're going to win. So that's how I would handle it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I actually agree with that. Moving on to capital engagement. Given that Travis is the seat of the state capital, what is your priority for capital legislative activism and direct action helping other counties to engage there? And I'll kick that off to Greg.
Right now, I am on one of the legislative priority committees. I've been working hard to do some things. I've been what I think we as a party is we need to plug ourselves in more, and I haven't honestly yet figured out how to do that with the SREC. You know, the chairs of the committees run them the way they run them, and that's, you know, it's my first term, so I'm still learning. I've been able to contribute a lot to the grid committee in particular, scouring bills, reading them, working with Don and Christiana and others on that committee, going tomorrow to the Capitol to distribute invitations for the seminar, the symposium that we're going to have on in a couple of weeks, March 19th. So you got to get out there and do it. I agree that you got to figure out how to engage people in the area to get down there. This has been a tough year, I think, for excitement with what went on at the Capitol and how I think, you know, there's a lot of morale problem there, given what happened with our party there. But I think we got to work hard anyway and make it happen, find ways to get people involved.
Thank you, Greg. Sam.
Yeah, so my experience in the legislature is that these decisions are usually made ahead of time. So the priority for, I guess, capital legislative activism is to get to know the state reps, state senators ahead of time and know. For my med spa example, I got to know the senator that was going to introduce the bill and been working for like the last 7 months to make sure I was ahead of it. And so that's why I'm on the phone with him today saying, hey, let's change this, that, and the other language. Same with the TDLR rules that I've affected. You know, I was working on it for 7 to 8 months before it came up, and they said, hey, it's about to go through. Here's your chance. And then you change a sentence right then and there. So if you're not ahead in the legislative process, then you've typically already lost. So that's my direct action campaign, is know what priorities are. I think as a group, a property tax reduction is a huge thing that TCRP should be focusing on. It's a big ticket item, so it's hard to like impact that because the players are kind of already in place. But you got to go down there and you got to be seen, you got to be heard, but you also have to know these people ahead of time.
Thank you, Sam. Jennifer.
Thanks. Okay, so as far as like capital legislative activism, I would definitely rely on our legislative chair to keep us somewhat informed and where we can have a call to action for the party. I think we need to just explain to the executive committee so that they can then explain this to their friends, how easy it is to get involved. So in the House, we can actually submit testimony online. You don't even have to leave your cubicle at home, right? You can engage in that way. I'd love to do some training or get people involved in speaking, right? To do a 3-minute speak or a 2-minute speak in the Senate so that we can get people involved there. I'd love for precinct chairs to go to some of the events like Greg was just talking about. There's many events that you can go to inform your vote. So Texas Values had a conference this morning that I was at, and great speakers. And there was a guy, I can't remember his name now, but that was speaking about his opposition to gambling in Texas. And I had never heard some of the things he said. It was so interesting. And I'm like, how come I never knew this? And how can we get this information out? So I think if we can get the precinct chairs to very much buy into the legislative process, because it's so easy for us, this is our county, and then they can then transfer that knowledge to their group, their neighbors, their precinct. And I think that will create more grassroots activists that want to participate.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yes. Where am I? Next question. How will you, as county chair, leverage your position with the Capitol and the elected officials in Austin? And we'll start that off with Sam.
Well, like leverage my position. I think what I want to do is have TCRP get out there and collect votes and say, we have 1,000 votes. We have 5,000 votes, 10,000 votes. And when you go, the capital in the political world is votes. It's money and votes. So I have to start with, do we have any influence over these elected officials? And you do when you say, look, we're going to vote this way. We need you to be with us. We've got a big group behind us. So how I would leverage it is go to them and say, this is how much involvement we have. This is what you're going to be facing if you're not with us, and go from there. And that's where you start to know the right people who are in the right positions at the right time. So again, it goes back to government relations is a long-term process. It takes years to know these people and to have influence. If you're not coming in with money, which at the moment we're not, we've got to come in there with votes.
Thank you, Sam. Greg.
Yeah, I would say initially we don't right now have a lot of leverage. I don't think anyway. But I'm going to agree with Sam. I mean, what they care about are votes or money. And right now, we need to improve our voter outreach, show that we're changing minds, That could be in a lot of ways, but we need the data and we need to be able to coordinate that effort. We can also leverage social media, tagging them on X or other platforms, both positively and negatively, by the way. You don't have to always be negative. You can be very positive in supporting your legislators when they're doing good things. And that might garner you at least more appreciation. But I agree with Sam. It's probably a very long-term thing that we'd all have to work at.
Thank you, Greg. Jennifer.
Yeah. I do think we can, as a county chair, leverage my position in that I'll be representing the Travis County Republican Party. As you all know, we were just cut into new House districts and new Senate districts. And so forming relationships with with Representative Troxclair, Senator Campbell, forming a relationship there where they are like, oh, Travis County is growing and this might impact my next election. So we are their constituents. So leveraging that, we are your constituents. I think we can leverage a position, building our delegates. So this last year, so that whatever the last state convention was, Travis County and SD 25 only took 22 delegates. But we had a space for more. In this last state convention, I made sure that we filled every delegate position. So Travis County was represented by 65 delegates in the SD 25 convention, and we can change votes within our Senate district. So I think when we build, and we will have even more influence directly over our electeds.
Thank you, Jennifer. Final topic, ladies and gentlemen, the Trump agenda. We made it. All right, the Trump administration has caused a lot of controversy, especially among groups in Travis County. Do you support the Trump agenda, and how will you publicly defend his agenda when confronted about them? And we'll start that off with Jennifer.
All right, so I have my Ultra MAGA t-shirt on. I am a MAGA Republican. Someone recently asked me, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a MAGA Republican? And I said, well, it's about being about the Republican platform and being willing to oppose a Republican that doesn't align with our platform. That's what, to me, that's a MAGA Republican. We're willing to call out even our side. So let me see, do you support the agenda? Absolutely. And how can we publicly defend? I think the finances, for me, finances are a way that we can appeal to both sides. I'd like to think so, but I still run into crazies. But just eliminating fraud, waste, and corruption, or eliminating those things, I'd like to think that that message translates across party lines. And so I always am defending Trump, because I'm like, why are we opposed to eliminating fraud, waste, and why am I not thinking the third thing? Fraud, waste, and
abuse.
Why are we against eliminating fraud, waste, and abuse? And so I say it at the Lake Travis ISD school board meeting all the time. It has to end. It has to stop. And I'd like to think that fiscal conservatism speaks to both sides, at least the rational, logical thinking that must be out there. I'm sure of it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Greg.
Yeah, I think you hammer on all the 80-20 issues. There are so many common sense things that the Trump agenda is about. And when you talk about them in those terms, women getting beat up by men in their own sports. They, spent decades getting Title IX, and now it's being ravaged. Immigration issue, again, that's a big majority issue. The finances, I agree, waste, fraud, and abuse, get rid of it. If they only knew what all we were spending things on. There's so many 80-20 issues or 75-25 issues that agreeably, they are not 75-25 issues here in Travis County, but you can talk about it in a way that makes common sense and kind of stick with that simple explanation. And I think you can rally a lot of people to that agenda and have it be in a positive way.
Thank you, Greg. Sam?
Well, the great thing about the Trump agenda is it's just gotten easier and easier to defend. It's America first. It's secure the border. It's cut taxes, bring back jobs, get out of foreign wars. It's amazing how much more popular he is now. So when people are coming at you and you look at what the Democrats did at his State of the Union, where they're getting kicked out for standing there waving a cane and they won't clap for people who've overcome amazing hardships, I think it's very easy to say, do you want to be in these wars longer? Do you not want a secure border? So go with these things that are common sense, that are making America better, that are going to increase the economy. One of the interesting things about the tax bill is the OMB has estimated that these tax cuts that Trump wants or has had would, cost $4 trillion. But if you look at his first 4 years when he put those in place, it actually made 1.5 trillion. So their estimates are just garbage. So get those good facts, know your numbers, know it's America first, know it's secure the border, secure our neighborhoods, and get us out of wars and bring jobs back. So I find it very easy to defend. And I'm patient with them, because usually if you're talking to somebody like that, it's somebody that's just not either informed, or they don't want to like him, or something that you have to kind of ease into. But just go with the America first, and it works.
Thank you, Sam. All right, next question is 2026 and 2028 candidates will largely be campaigning on and writing the Trump agenda and themes from a so far successful administration. Will you, as county chair, support and echo those sentiments during such election cycles? Going to Jennifer. Oh, hold on. Gotcha. I got you. Go ahead. Nope. How about now?
I don't really want to go on and on about this. I mean, I'm going to support Trump's agenda unless he does something crazy, which I'm not expecting between now and 2026 and 2028. And actually, I'm okay with him being imperfect, because none of us are perfect. So I foresee us completely endorsing and supporting his agenda. And will you support? Yes. Echo? Yes. 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 Yes.
Thank you. Greg?
Yes, I would support echo and restate. Now, for local elections, I would try to find the right way to nuance that for Travis County or Austin or whatever the particular race that's being run or that we're talking about, because there are going to be little different things. But there's an easy way to translate that into local issues in so many ways. So it's not conflicting. I would just try to nuance it a little bit, but yes, all of that.
Thank you, Greg. Sam?
I don't know who remembers the 1994 election, but Bill Clinton was so bad after his first 2 years that the Republicans swept almost everything. I mean, old Democrat seats were just annihilated, and you had this wave that brought prosperity and a balanced budget. I think we have the flip, where we're going to have a president who's going to have an amazing current behind him and can bring in more seats in 2026. I will be straight down the America First platform. I think one of the reasons I'm running is because this midterm is critical. If we don't hold the House nationally, Trump's going to be crippled the last 2 years. I'm excited to see we have two other wonderful candidates. All three of us, I think, are active, engaged, and ready to get working. But I will definitely echo those sentiments. That's the platform I want to run on.
Thank you, Sam. There is one last question in the chat here that do you personally support education savings accounts and school choice? And I'll kick that over to you, Sam.
I've used the college savings accounts, the 529 plans. I've also actually I do grant writing for ABLE accounts, which is a 529, which is for people with disability. It's a longer story. That's a really crazy federal law that really hurts people on disability payments. But so I've used these savings accounts before. I guess this is in terms of school choice, like you get your $10,000 voucher to go to the school. School choice is really, really hard for me, because what I want for our schools is accountable parents who want their kids there learning. I'm a teacher. I teach at my cosmetology school. So I have people from 18 to 60 in my classes. And what you really need is people that are engaged. If school choice is going to make our education better, I'm all for it. I've got to see how they write it up, because the devil's in the details there.
Thank you, Sam. Greg?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you I've evolved on this matter in some ways. Yes, I'm for school choice, mainly because I'm a parental rights person. I believe parents should be able to decide how they want their children educated, and the state has no business getting involved in that decision. the way a lot of this legislation has evolved, it kind of, honestly, it inserts the state more in private schooling and in homeschooling, the way a lot of these laws are crafted. So, so my answer is kind of nuanced. I used to be of an orthodoxy, libertarian orthodoxy, that said we got to get rid of the teachers' unions, school choice is everything, et cetera, et cetera. I've evolved because I think, that a lot of the fingers with the pens in hands don't necessarily have the children and parents' rights in minds when they write them. So I'm sorry, it's a longer answer, but when it inserts the government more into the process, when they're looking for, data and control and, they call it strings attached, whatever, I find myself less in favor. And I find that, it's a hard one to convince people about because there's so much emotion in it. So I'm not in favor of all the laws that are being written right now. No, I'm in favor of school choice and parental rights.
Thank you, Greg. Jennifer.
So I'm very familiar with Senate Bill 2. I'm not as familiar with House Bill 3. I need to read through it. I have a lot of problems with SB 2, to be honest. For me, it's a growth in government. Millions and millions of dollars of the 1 billion are going to go to a growth in government. I don't trust government. I'm a limited small government person. I think there's better ways to do it. I would love to see potentially, like, if I know the state has a ton of money, why can't the state give money to qualified private schools so that they can reduce their tuition so that more students are able to go there at a discount or for free? That would provide, I think, a choice to families that can't afford it. Or I know there was a program, and I can't remember what it was called, but you could donate to it, and maybe the state matches or something where you can save for education expenses individually. But as far as the state running this program, I have a lot of reservations. I think that they can make public schools better. So I've been testifying at the Capitol since 2013, specifically on the sexualization of kids in schools. And my experience is that Republicans are very hesitant to create enforcement provisions where public schools have to be better. So for example, I testified on a bill Monday. It was a bill that I wrote 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, Republicans that were on the dais, including Senator Huffman, looked at me like I had 3 heads. And then they passed it out of Senate committee on Monday. So things take a very long time. And in my opinion, the Republican leadership has allowed public schools to get so bad that they have to create an alternative, which is a growth in government. That's my opinion on that.
Thank you, Jennifer. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now down to closing comments. We made it. We'll go ahead and start with Sam with 3 minutes to make your closing statement, sir.
3 minutes or 30 seconds?
3 minutes.
Okay, great. Well, I'm very excited to see that all 3 candidates seem to share the laissez-faire government, smaller government, lower taxes model. And I think we're going to come out with a good chair. I think this campaign is good because it's going to make us a better party. All the people who've gotten on here tonight show that they care. The responses I've got from emails and texts have been just amazing. And I just love talking politics. I love thinking that we're making a difference and not just let it to go to chance. When it comes to picking your favorite here, I just want to say I have military experience. I forgot to mention I was enlisted in the airborne infantry. I was a JAG officer. I was a captain and a corporal, which is not very common. I've got business experience from starting a company from zero to millions of dollars, working at the government, working for law firms, working in big companies, working in small companies, working in technology, working in finance. So I've kind of gone through a whole gamut. And so you're going to get a very broad-based knowledge with me, kind of a master of none, but I've got a lot of trades out there that I know how to do. Calm, cool, and collected. Nothing's going to get me too riled up, except for maybe college football. But I will bring a presence that is hopefully uniting in the party, that's engaging in the party, And I also have the political experience. So I think I've got experience politically, business, military, also legally. And a lot of these questions come down to legal questions. So I think I could be a good candidate there. I hope to have your vote. If anybody wants extra questions or time, please reach out to me. I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
Thank you, Sam. Going over to Greg.
Yes. Look, I have the professional and business organizational capabilities and understanding to be able to kind of really work hard to make this party better than it's been and better for the next person that comes in and does this. I love that all three of us are here as candidates. I agree with Sam. I think we're going to end up being great no matter what. I think we've laid the foundation now. I hope that everyone understands that I've worked very hard, very diligently, trying to unite people, to get people together, and ultimately with the bylaws to get the power of the EC back into the hands of the precinct chairs. And would be really excited to help lead the organizational effort that the EC wants to make, to go in whatever direction it wants to make. I think we can as leadership through the steering committee and through the chair can figure out how to help lead and help organize people to be successful at what they want to do in this organization. There are a lot of things we can do, a lot of relations we can make, and a great way we can build the party here in Travis County. And I'm really excited about that, no matter who wins.
Thank you, Greg. Jennifer.
All right, thanks. Well, I believe that I am different from the other two candidates because I pray and think and believe that all of you have seen me do the work. And I have been very successful at what we do. If anybody doesn't know, I am an attorney also. I work from home. I have started to step back from We the People. I've found people who are going to help lead that organization. I've found my replacement precinct chair, and I will be devoting a lot of my time to this role. I think it requires a lot of time, and I don't have a bunch of distractions in my life. So I'm excited about serving. I'm excited about serving full time. And I have a lot of ideas. It's almost a little manic, to be honest. Like it's like, I need to start writing them down. I have a lot of ideas. I have big goals in mind. I understand that this position is really only mine until March of next year. And then this race will be on the ballot if it's contested. So I have a lot to prove. To be honest, I have a lot to prove if I want to keep this position, and I'm ready to take that challenge on. I've done it all. I testify on bills, I write bills, I run for office, I run a group, I come to the precinct chair meetings, I have been a precinct, I've door knocked, there's not anything that I haven't done. I've raised money. So I'm not the candidate that's going to tell you what you're going to see and what I'm going to do. I've proven it over the last 4 years or 5 years. So I hope I have your vote. I want your vote. If you haven't committed to me already, I hope that you'll text me or call me back if I didn't get you on the phone. And I'm excited about Tuesday night. So thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. There is a bonus question, ladies and gentlemen, to all three of the candidates. Gotcha. The question is actually, no matter the outcome of this election, are you committed to working with the actual new county chair in the forward movement of the Travis County Republican Party? And I will kick that over to Greg to start.
Oh, I've been working very hard to do that, and I haven't been the chair. I will continue to work very hard, even if I'm not the chair. My work within the party should demonstrate that, and I won't stop either way. And I'll do so with gusto and happiness.
Thank you, Greg. Sam?
Only if it's a fair election. I'm just kidding. No, I'm happy to work with anybody and everybody. I think it's great. One of the great things about running a Republican campaign against Republicans is you're not running against somebody who you don't want to shake their hand or stand next to, and you can't stand when you see them. So I think Jennifer's been a fantastic force. I think Greg's been an absolute amazing workhorse. And so I'm happy to work with both of them no matter what happens.
Thank you, Sam. Jennifer?
Yes, of course. I think I worked very well with Matt Makoviak. I ran against him. I don't think anybody at any precinct chair ever saw he and I antagonistic toward each other. I think he had a high degree of respect for me. I had a high degree of respect for him. Whoever the chosen leader is the will of the voters, and I'm all in. Whatever it takes, we're going to succeed.
Thank you, Jennifer. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's forum. It was a pleasure to host this for us as precinct chairs, to give us a better idea of who the candidates are, what they're bringing to the table, and for us to make an informed decision on Tuesday night. So this will be uploaded on my Rumble channel, and I will send out the link to everybody. So for those that was not able to watch this tonight, or just need to get a refresher, it'll be available. Hopefully I can get it up tonight. If not, it should be tomorrow-ish. So just stay tuned for that. And thank you all for sitting here for the last 2 hours and 15 minutes or so. And thank you all. Thank you to the candidates for not only stepping up, but for just doing this, because it is going to be a lot of work. It's going to be some hard work, and you're going to have some knives thrown at you and some grenades thrown in the room, and you got to duck. So thank you all, and have a good night, and take care, and God bless you all. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.